Illinois gets the win over Minnesota 77-67 at home. Illinois gets their 7th straight men's basketball win. Ever since that Nebraska game, Illinois has been cooking. They've been doing a fantastic job. Now 15-3 on the season, 6-1 in the Big Ten. That gives them sole possession of the second place, or I guess third place spot, since there's a tie for first place between Purdue and Nebraska. Michigan State and Michigan do play later today. So if you're watching this before those games happen, if Michigan and Michigan State win, they would be tied with Illinois. If either one of them loses or both of them lose, then Illinois would hold that spot behind Purdue and Nebraska solely there in the Big Ten standings. But Illinois had done a fantastic job on defense, and this game looked like it may get out of control a little, not out of control, but it could have gone poorly for Illinois early on when Minnesota was hitting a lot of their 3-pointers, and they were doing a great job at one point. I think about 4 or 5 minutes left in the first half, Minnesota had 32 points, and you started thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, are they going to give up some of the most points that they have given up in the first half of the season? They did not. They only gave Minnesota 34 points in the first half, and that is the most points scored on Illinois in the first half since Nebraska, but still, that is not the most they've given up this season. They gave up 43 in the first half to UConn, 42 against Ohio State. That's when Bruce Thornton kind of went crazy. And then Alabama, they gave up 41 in that game. I believe they gave up 34 in the first half against Tennessee as well. But give credit to Minnesota. They came out firing. They came out very hot. They did an excellent job of penetrating down low and kicking out to open shooters, and Illinois struggled with their rotation a little bit in this one. And really, the defense didn't start getting there until Big Z got there. Zvonimir Ivisic had a fantastic game in this one, and honestly, he was a huge reason for the win overall in this game. Minnesota, it's their first double-digit loss since they lost to Purdue, and Andrej Stojakovic did come off the floor limping with about a minute and a half left in this game, so we'll have to monitor that a little bit. I went back and watched, and it looks like he may have just kind of stepped on his ankle wrong or something when he was getting boxed out for a rebound on that possession right before he came out. There was about a minute and a half left when he came out. So it doesn't look anything like it's anything too super serious. They didn't have to stop play for him or anything, but he did limp off, and so we'll see what that one looks like there. All right, let's recap the game here a little bit. Starting in the first half, Minnesota's 3-point shooting was on point. They were getting in and out. They did a fantastic job of getting offensive rebounds, kicking it out to Illinois, or to their 3-point shooters in this one. Illinois had a really hard time with their rotations. The smaller players of Minnesota were doing a good job of penetrating into the paint, but then they were also getting help defense from the Illinois guards and other players, which then obviously left a guy open on the perimeter. And Minnesota, again, they're a good basketball team. They're not super deep. They don't have, a bunch of, awesome players on their team. They have a bunch of good players. Cade Tyson's really good offensively as well. But this is a team that plays well together. They're well coached. A lot of respect for Nico Medved, and I think Minnesota's probably going to be a team that is more difficult to deal with in the future. Minnesota hasn't beaten Illinois since 2019, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon, but I do expect more tough games like this from Minnesota, even on Illinois' home floor, because Illinois looks like one of the best teams in the country at times this season. And then in this game, when you get one of the best contributions from a guy coming off your bench and Big Z, Minnesota still gave them a very good game. Big Z was also impactful on the defensive end, getting steals. Him and Keaton Wagler both had steals there in the first half that really helped ignite this Illinois offense a little bit more. Gave them some quick points there on the other side. I think they had 5 turnovers in the first half, and they had 10 points off turnovers. So converting those were huge, especially with the offense being pretty stagnant. I mean, the offense did not have a single starter score a field goal. I'm trying to find my note exactly here. The offense did not have a single starter hit a field goal in the last nearly 10 minutes of the first half. So Keaton Wagler hit a 3-pointer with 9:59 left, but that was the only field goal by an Illinois starter in the final 10 minutes of the game, and that came pretty much right at the 10-minute mark. So really impressive from Illinois' bench to come in and be really who they were going to rely on defensively. You had Ben Hummerkaus, you had Jake Davis, you had guys like that in there. And yes, Ben did go 0 for 3, but it was also a product of this Minnesota zone that was giving Illinois a lot of trouble there offensively. You have that. You have the, more of a defensive lineup because Illinois starters were just getting eaten alive by the Minnesota offense. You could tell that Tomislav was not super comfortable out there on the perimeter against some of the speed and the undersized guys for Minnesota. Nothing against Tomislav, but it was a more difficult game for him. So you had to put Big Z in there for stretches of this game, and boy did Big Z deliver in this one. And I didn't even set his stats yet, but Big Z in this one, Zvonimir Ivisic, he had, let me find it here. He had 18 points, 9 rebounds, 1 personal foul, 5 of 8 from the field, 2 of 5 from three-point line. Keaton Wagler was huge as well, 17 points, 5 of 12 from the field, 4 of 8 from the three-point line. He had 4 assists. Zvonimir Ivisic was your leading rebounder in this game. But overall, when it came to the end of the first half, you needed points. You needed something. You needed some points there when Minnesota was going on their drought, just to kind of get yourselves, into a closer margin. It was never a blowout or anything in the first half by any means, but just to get some more confidence and get that closer margin. And that's when Brad Underwood put Petro in. And boy, did Petro really, he came in there and did a much better job. And you started to see some positive signs from Petro, especially with this more defensive oriented lineup. He came in, he had guys like Big Z, Hummerkaus, Davis was in there. Keaton Wagler was playing off the ball, which I like when Keaton Wagler is off the ball with Petro. If Petro is making good decisions, that can be a really impactful team, or a really impactful thing for this Illinois team to be able to do that. And so when Petro came in, he got an offensive rebound. He missed a shot. He missed a three-pointer, but then he also came back. He hit a layup. He hit a pull-up shot as well. And so you started to see Petro being better. You even saw Petro in there with Big Z and Big T at the same time. And that was really difficult for Minnesota to be able to deal with that kind of size. Now, Minnesota, again, some smaller players offensively, they were able to do some things with their undersized, players and quickness and stuff like that. But overall, good sign from Petro here in the first half. 4 points, and it would have been a whole lot better, but he does foul at half court, kind of reaching in for a ball. And it's not bad, right? You like that kind of aggression, but it's just not the way Brad Underwood wants to play. Brad Underwood does not want to get fouls. He does not want to give up fouls to the other team. They don't go for steals a whole lot. They're going to play more of the, you have to score on this type of defense, and we're going to get the steals from you. I mean, I don't know how many years now Illinois has been pretty low down there and like steal percentages and turnover percentages and stuff. That's just the way Brad likes to have them play. But it was paying off for Petro there in the first half. After that moment, it's kind of like, Petro, man, don't do this to yourself. We're really, really happy about what we saw here in the first half, and it was a good sighting. Like I said, 0 field goals by Illinois players for nearly 10 minutes. In the final 10 minutes of the first half, you had 8 points by Ivisic. You did have 1 free throw by Keaton Wagler as well, and then 4 points by Petro. So 12 points coming from those 2 guys in the final 10 minutes, nearly final 10 minutes of the first half. And it was needed. It was very much so needed. In the second half, you started to see Merkovich come alive a whole lot more. He started things off with a 3-pointer, which was huge. There was some more of the too much help to the Minnesota players when they were penetrating. But really, it turned into a much better situation once you started seeing Tomislav get to the high post a whole lot more and trying to back down his guys and get down in there. The Minnesota zone, they kept putting Tomislav at the top of the key or at the free throw arc to be able to get the ball to him. And he was so focused on distributing from there that you just wanted him to post up, get down to the block, and you would be able to have success against a smaller Minnesota team. He finally did it. They started to have more success with it. Minnesota had to respect it. And it felt like the entire game, it was either open for that high post game or to get the ball to the top of the key or the 3-point line and throw an alley-oop or something to a Big Z or somebody else who's kind of roaming around the paint there. And it was a much better situation for Illinois once they started cooking on offense like that. That started to open things up more on the outside. Minnesota had to abandon the zone for a little bit. And once they had to do that, you could tell the legs of Minnesota was just getting to them a little bit. Obviously, great execution by Illinois. We're not taking anything away, but it was a good job by Illinois to also just keep running the game. They didn't slow down a whole bunch in this one, but they kept running the game and put Minnesota in unfavorable position for them only playing, I think they only played 7 guys. Yeah, they only played 7 guys in this one. They just do not have a very deep rotation, especially with some of their injuries they have going on right now. And it was good coaching by Brad to do that. So good job by Brad Underwood. I know he gets a lot of flack for his in-game coaching sometimes, and I get that. But, once Cade Tyson got his 3rd foul with 13:47 at the 13:47 mark, it was like, okay, are you going to take him out of the game? They didn't. Nico Medved, he didn't have any other choice. He's a lot of their offense. They don't have all that deep of a rotation. They didn't have a choice. And then at about the 7-minute mark, that's when 7 minutes left in the game. That's when Minnesota got in trouble because Cade Tyson got a couple fouls at that point, eventually fouled out, and attacking Tyson proved to be a huge part of it. And when around that time was also when Big Z hit his 3-pointer, which was a super, was a nice 3-pointer, really nice getting the ball off the catch like that, throwing it up. And that started a 10-0 run for Illinois. Minnesota fought back a little bit from there, but once you get that 10-0 run happened, I think it was 66-56 at that point after that run. Illinois just pretty much didn't look back, and they were ready for the entire game after that. So takeaways from this one: Keaton Wagler, he's not helping us here. I'm not mad at him, but I'd like to see another year, Keaton. Stop playing so well, because you're going to be a lottery pick if you keep doing this. I kid. But I mean, I am really excited for Keaton Wagler. He's playing himself into the lottery in the NBA draft right now. His clutch performance, 4 for 8 on the day shooting from the 3-point line, even though it wasn't all there for him, from a shooting standpoint, going 5 for 12, he was still able to make his threes, and that's huge. And his play out there was really, really nice. Big Z, I tell you, if we keep seeing what we've seen from Big Z in the past few games, then this Illinois is a no doubt Final Four team to me, especially in this game. You want to hear some crazy stuff? Big Z has not had any more than 2 fouls in a single game since Tennessee. He had 3 fouls in that game against Tennessee. He's not had any more than 2 in a single game since Tennessee. Since Tennessee, he's had 20 blocks and 11 fouls. That is 9 games where he's had 20 blocks and 11 fouls. Over 2 blocks per game, and averaging only about 1 foul per game, a little bit over that. Fantastic stuff from Big Z. His patience, his ability to not get baited into fouls, and playing within himself, playing within the system. He's doing a great job. One of my biggest things with Big Z going into the season was he racks up the blocks, but he doesn't do a great job of affecting shots. And if you've ever played basketball, guys that can do this. They can get the block, but they don't do a good job of affecting shots. You're starting to see Big Z affect more shots now, and he's doing a fantastic job of not getting fouled, because some of these guys, if I go up against them, they're either going to foul me or they're going to block me. We can get fouls on him, and Big Z is not doing that right now. So over the last 9 games, 20 blocks, 11 fouls overall. That is a 2 for 1, 2 to 1 blocks to foul ratio. We'll take it. He's been a force down low, and you love to see it. And finally, my last takeaway, just happy for a positive, moment, positive game from Petro in this one. He only played, let me get my exact stats here so I make sure I get it to you guys right. He only played 6 minutes in this one, but with those 6 minutes, 4 points, 2 for 4 from the field. He was 0 for 2 from 3-point line, but 3 rebounds in this one. He did have 1 foul. That was the foul at half court that I talked about. But I mean, these are positive signs for Petro. And honestly, if you do find yourself in a situation like this again, where the starters are struggling to score and you need to get a lineup of, the Ivisic twins and Jake Davis and Ben Hummerkaus, you can have Petro be that main main contributor, that main ball handler for that team, and not just main ball handler, but he's gonna have a huge amount of responsibility in those situations, and he can handle that kind of stuff. One of the biggest things on why I don't feel like Petro fits the best into this team for long periods of time is just because of how ball dominant he is as a player. He doesn't play off the ball all that super well. And when he does get the ball, he's a good playmaker, but that is such an important thing for him. He probably needs to continue to improve that game of playing off the ball a little bit more in order to get more time out there. But he is such a weapon for this team if he's going to have good games like this, good moments like this, to where the team is maybe struggling with their starters and they need to put in some of their guys on the bench who do a great job on defense. Put Petro in there. He's going to get some rebounds for you. He's gonna hit some shots for you as well and kind of create for the team too. If you get that kind of stuff from Petro, I know it's a small thing, but it could be a really impactful thing at moments in time during this season for Illinois. So thanks for watching this one. Appreciate you being here. Talk Illini, part of Orange and Blue News with the On3 Network. Good win for Illinois here. They didn't even score in they didn't have any field goals in the last 3.5 minutes of the game. But, it is what it is. And they'll take this one with a 10-point victory over Minnesota. So good win here for Illinois. Check out Orange and Blue News on 3 Network. Go over there. Subscribe here to the Talk Illini YouTube channel for more game recaps. Going to start doing some more previews and stuff here soon, I think, as well. Now that we're in kind of a easier schedule with the Big Ten season and everything. And then you can also get the recruiting recaps, transfer portal stuff, all that stuff here at Talk Illini with me, Sonny Carson. We appreciate having you here. Have a good one. See you next time.